Hey, music lovers, welcome to Musical Miles Podcast. I'm your host, Byron Duffin, and I am here with Mr. Jared Rogerson.
Great to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good to meet you. So we found out about you through some friends of ours in Blackfoot. We were at a birthday party here a while back, and Kimberly gave me your card. And she said, we saw this guy play at 10 Sleep, and we told him about your podcast and that you needed to interview him. And so anyway, that's how that connection. Matt Stevenson.
Okay.
He's a cattle buyer there in Blackfoot and a longtime family friend. And so anyway, they shared your information, and that's kind of how. But you live in Pinedale.
I do.
Are you originally from Pinedale?
I'm not. I've been there 21 years.
Okay, you've been there a year. So you know my buddy Wade Tibbetts.
Oh, yeah.
I've known Wade since he was a little
kidding.
kid. Yeah, his brother Ben and I are good friends.
I ran into him in Blackfoot.
Oh, did you?
As well, and random places, Eureka, Nevada, and all kinds of things.
Yeah. We've known him long time, and that whole family. So good family.
Great people.
Yeah, really great people. But so you've been in over there in Pinedale for but we're in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, actually.
Not too far away.
Not too far.
Yeah.
So from Pinedale, what are you, an hour and a half?
Yeah, 80 miles
80 miles,
so,
yeah. It's kind of a 2-lane windy road, and you got to watch out for the elk and the deer.
And the moose.
Yeah. Well, I see moose crossings all over coming over the hill, because we just live on the other side, south of Idaho Falls. We live in Shelley, 10 miles south Idaho Falls.
Okay.
So close to Blackfoot, but we come over here quite a bit. But I've seen all these moose crossings. I've never seen a moose.
Oh,
ever.
Okay.
And maybe I need to go to Pinedale more.
Yeah, do that tonight, right about dark, you know.
I'm good. But I also know about being over there. So about at the cowboy shop, right?
Oh, they've been supporting me for a long time. Yeah. Been a big help over the years.
Good people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Jared's musical career, because you've been at it a while. I mean,
yeah, I think pushing 15 years.
15 years.
You know, you don't know when the official launch of the career was, because it was kind of a gradual process. But I've been playing out publicly, since like 2011, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So who really influenced your music growing up?
Oh, I mean, I think hands down the answer there is Chris Ledoux. Yeah. I mean, you know, I grew up.
You're a bareback rider,
Rodeo, and discovered his music when I was in high school. And, you know, I don't think there's any music that has influenced not just my musical style, but really my whole life, you know.
Sure.
Than his stuff. So, bareback rider turned musician.
Yeah.
I remember I wanted to be a country singer-songwriter from the time I was in, I remember second grade career day.
Oh, really?
You know, they try to, you know, help you find what your path is, and they gave you a folder, and of course I drew a picture of me with the guitar on stage, and that was, I was heading that way.
That's pretty good in second grade.
So, yeah.
That's really good. Well, you know, Chris influenced so many. Obviously, he influenced Chancey Williams. He influenced Kenny Fiddler. You know Kenny?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kenny. We've had him on and had some great visits with a lot of these artists that all, you know, especially the ones who have a background in the rodeo world, right?
Yeah.
You know, I tried to ride bareback horses, but was never any good at it, right? So, but I learned really quick that I was no good at it. So I picked up a rope and stuck with rope and calves and team rope. And so, but still loved Chris's music. You know, we wore out those Chris Ledoux tapes, you know, going to the rodeos.
Just like the song. Yeah. I consider myself part of a Chris Ledoux generation, really.
Sure. Yeah, well, we just talked. You just ran into Ned this week up in
Billings. Yeah, unexpectedly. That was cool.
Great guy, and he's got such a cool story, you know, and so, you know, being the son of the legend Chris Ledoux, and most people don't know this, but you know, he never had any intention of being a frontman. You know that because you've been around him, but until after his dad died. How crazy is that story?
Yeah, it's so cool though.
Yeah,
I mean, he's doing such a great job, and you know, and putting out, you know, carrying on the legacy, but putting out his own stuff and building upon that. It's just it's incredible and inspiring to watch. We've done a few shows with those guys over the years, and it's always a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they draw just the right crowd, you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
For our stuff as well.
Sure. Well, cool. Well, so you started out playing the guitar when you were young, and And that's kind of what have you ventured very far away from the guitar, or are you pretty much a guitar player?
Yeah, pretty much a guitar player. I think I dabbled in a little piano. I still like to try to do that, but I haven't busted out on that on stage, anyways. But
Sure.
I'd like to at some point. But mostly guitar, and I've been doing that over the years. But even before that, I was into the songwriting first.
Okay.
That was my thing, and I don't know. I singing, I mean, you grow up singing. All kids do, I guess, and eventually some quit and some don't. I did my best singing in the shower, and
Don't we all?
but I like to make up songs, and I
Sure.
always did. And I don't. It was years before I actually wrote one down.
Were you were you like, I mean, I find myself even still, making up words to songs that we know, right? I mean, the stuff
That's how
you're
we all
driving,
start.
that's how
Yeah.
you all start, right? Well, I'm an old man,
Yeah.
so so have you gotten into the songwriter festivals at all? Have you done any like songwriter rounds? Have you spent much time in Nashville? Have you?
I've haven't. I've done Nashville usually just for recording work.
Okay.
I haven't played there. I've done some songwriting rounds at some other, cowboy festival types of things and that
Sure.
other things. But yeah, I love this. I love, I usually play with my band anymore, but every once in a while I'll still get like an acoustic listening room
Sure.
where you get to sit down and tell the stories, and those just
There
you
just
get a
isn't anything better.
small intimate group of 40 people, and just
Yeah.
you get so much more into the song part of
Well,
it.
and we talked a little bit about that in some venues, and we won't mention any venues, but that being said, you go to some venues and the people are there to drink and chat with their friends and try and pick up women, right? They're not there for the music. And,
Right.
we interviewed an artist and he told me, his dad was a great, Jerry Jeff Walker. So Jerry Jeff's son, Django, and he said, Jerry Jeff told him, he said, don't do this unless you love it, because you're going to be in a bar somewhere playing a song that you wrote that means the world to you. And some jackwagon's going to be in the back shooting his mouth off and being loud and obnoxious. And you're going to want to get off the stage and whip him. And he said that's not very conducive to a successful career in the music industry if you want to get invited back. So,
Yeah.
it's something that, but we find the music, the songwriter festivals are, like you said, they're more intimate. You're in a room with 40 people. There's maybe one or two other songwriters on stage with you. You get to tell the backstory.
Right.
And that's really what we're after on this podcast, is Jared's backstory,
Nice.
and we want to know what gets you out of bed in the morning. Is it the songwriting? And
Yeah, I think of myself as a songwriter first, and that's I love, the creative process. I think that's what really drives me to keep going, and as the music part of it as well.
Sure.
But they kind of go in hand when it comes to
yeah.
writing words and melodies together and coming up with that. Is
Well, we ask this question a lot because that's really the part that intrigues me about the music, is the songwriting process. How that comes, and everybody is different, right?
Mhm.
So I know you've collaborated. In fact, you collaborated with a very famous artist, John Fogerty. You co-wrote a song with John, right?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Probably not the John you're thinking about.
Oh, a different
There's more
one.
than one John Fogerty in
Serious?
the world.
Okay. Well, it was bold and black. I thought, man,
Yeah.
that's
no, cool.
So not from CCR.
No,
Fogerty.
no. There's another John Fogerty. He was at least as equally talented.
Okay.
And he's just as happens to be his name.
From where?
We met in Pinedale.
Oh,
and then
really?
he lives over in Colorado now.
Okay.
And just an amazing talent, credible voice, and a heck of a songwriter. And so,
Well,
yeah.
that I listened to that song you two wrote, and it's quite the song, right?
Yeah,
It's got quite a story to tell.
Which one's that?
Well, the
Side of the Road.
Side of the
movie?
Road.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. Wow. Is
Yeah.
that your story?
My dad was in construction. He was a carpenter, and I remember just the line, "I've driven a million nails."
Yeah.
And I started writing a song about that, but I really wanted to write something that told the story. There's just like the fentanyl crisis and everything that's going on in the overdoses in the country right now. I really there's sort of a stigma when we talk about addictions and different things like
Right.
that. And I just wanted to paint a picture that we all need each other. We need each other's help. And really, this could happen to anyone. So I just started telling a story about a fictitious story about this sort of just happened.
Sure.
And,
sure.
and painted the picture of how it could happen to anyone. Of course, I looped in John because,
Sure.
he's got some of the experience in the construction world as well. And I thought he could relate. And, he just was an incredible co-writer.
It's a great song, and it tells a great story. And
Thank you.
Addiction impacts all of us.
Yeah, we're all affected by it, and we all know of people. And I think that's the important thing is music. We like to write a drinking song and a rodeo song, but there's other songs too that sometimes when we have the ability and the microphone in front of us, we can do a little bit to help improve the world,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Interestingly enough, I just saw a deal today, a band out of Europe that said this was going to be their last tour here in the United States because of how the music industry's changed. They've been touring for 30 years, and they said, look, it's really changed. And the only way you're going to help support these artists is to buy a ticket to their show, support them at the merch table, whatever it takes, put a 20 in the tip jar, because it never killed anybody to put $20 in there. More often than not, they're going to come into a bar that's paying you to be here. Maybe there's a cover tonight. I don't know if there is, but if there is, even at that, it's pretty cheap entertainment.
Sure.
Right? And you never know when that song you're going to sing is going to impact somebody and really change their lives. Music has such a powerful tool.
It is. That's that's how we connect with each other, really, in a lot of ways, for sure.
Yeah. Well, cool. So, back to the collaboration. So now, do you write much on your own?
I do. Yeah, I write a lot of stuff. In fact, a lot of stuff over the years has been on my own. But more recently, I've seen the value in co-writing. We just sometimes you get other folks' perspective.
Sure.
I'm always writing a song from the time I think it's finished to the time I get to the studio. It's still evolving all the way there, even if it's just minor little things. And
I think that's the nature of because they have their own life, right?
Right, they do. Yeah. So sometimes working with someone else, you sort of can skip some of those steps. Things that you eventually maybe would have thought of, but they saw it right off. You're sometimes too close to the problem.
Right. Well, and I think oftentimes, it's interesting because, as I said, we've talked to artists it's very personal. They don't want to share that job with anyone else because they are so in the middle of it, right? They want to tell their story. And yet we've also been in Nashville with, in some of the songwriting groups where they sit down with 2 or 3 or 4 other artists and they hammer out a song and the challenge with that is that doesn't always have a real personal story behind it. It's just a song.
Yeah.
But maybe there's they thread in some of their personal stuff in there, I'm sure.
And they do. And I think maybe the difference in my approach is I've done a little of that in some of those writing sessions, but I just need time to chew on it for a little bit,
Sure.
And I really need to feel like I own that song. If this is something I'm going to record, it does have to be personal. I got to feel it.
Okay.
And sometimes just inserting those little pieces of me throughout, even if I didn't write every line or it isn't my exact story,
it helps for you
to own it.
You need to own it, so you've got something there you can relate to as you share it. Right?
Authenticity is important. Yeah.
Well, I think that's always an interesting perspective because everybody is different, and to take someone else's words and song and their experience and then you share it, it's a little different. And most people don't realize, I shouldn't say most, but a lot, I think the percentage is fairly high, that they don't realize that the songwriter or that the artist is not usually the guy who wrote the song, right?
Right.
They look at some of these bigger artists and they go, oh, well, he writes his own music, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
In some situations, do you So speaking of songwriters, who now I know you're Chris is an idol and Chris was a songwriter, but who else do you look up to as songwriting?
Probably a lesser known, underappreciated guy that I really, really looked up to and has been a mentor and a good friend of mine is a guy out of Utah named Bren Hill.
Know him?
Do you?
Yeah, I interviewed him. He's a great guy, and he shared the story about One Hand in the Riggin'.
Okay. I've been familiar with that story for a long time.
No one knew that. I shouldn't say no one. You knew it. Those who were close to Bren and to Chris's family, Ned and those guys. They were well aware of it. But funny story, when I interviewed Ned a year ago, about now, we were just a few weeks away from going to the NFR, and he said, "Oh, I have a new rodeo song, a new single we're releasing the week of the NFR." And he leaves it at that. He left me hanging. He didn't tell me the whole story. And so then I get to Vegas and I hear it playing on the radio and I'm like, my hell, that's a duet with Chris. How did he leave that out? And I don't know that he intentionally left it out, but then I interviewed Bren at the Cowboy Poetry Gathering and he shared the whole story. Wow.
Yeah. Go back and listen to that one, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. So Bren is just an incredible, talented songwriter, and I worked with him on my first, big album, Peace, Love, and Horses, that came out in 2011. And
I was going to say, so you've cut 6, right? 6 albums, or 7?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was a home recording, so I don't know if we count that one or not. And then right after that, I worked with Bren, who co-produced my first big sort of album that came out in 2011. And he was just a huge help. And I learned so much about songwriting from him, really getting them polished and making them something.
Great guy, too.
Something good, yeah.
Such a cool guy.
In fact, he and I just had a duet come out. I don't know if you
did. You
that.
really?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. It was a song that Bren wrote, and I had released it on the previous album, and we had intended to do it as a duet for some time, and we finally got it cranked out and had a lot of fun. There's a video to go with it.
Oh,
and everything,
cool! I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, we are really so intrigued by the Songwriter Festival deal that I want to do one in Idaho Falls.
Oh,
I think Idaho Falls has a downtown that can do it, right? If you've been to the one in Red Lodge or Cody or Livingston, the downtown areas really have to be conducive to a Songwriter Festival with the venues.
Sure.
And so I think Idaho Falls can do it. It has a beautiful theater for the main event,
Yeah.
they can seat 1,000 people. We just saw Pam Tillis there, and
nice.
And one of the first guys I reached out to about it was Bren. So
nice.
Bren, I want to bring Bren in, and then Bryce Long. Do you know Bryce?
Sounds familiar. Maybe I do.
So Bryce wrote "Heartache on the Dance Floor" with John Party, and he's also helped produce some stuff with Chansey.
Okay.
So he lives in Nashville, but
excellent.
Lots and lots of cuts. Okay. But anyway, I really, really want to. I'm thinking about that. And so you're a close guy. We'll have to see if we can't get you to come over and join us.
That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. For sure.
So, so any other major songwriters that had any impact on you that you can think of?
Man, I'd have to think about it for a minute. But yeah, definitely those are the top 2.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. Cowboy singers.
Yeah. You got to go back. Well, Dave Stamey.
Oh,
Stamey's
absolutely.
We got to sit down with Dave. We've sat down with some great in the Western, international Western artists, like Stamey and Joni Harms and Olivia, her daughter and some other great artists. But I think back to the Texas songwriters, the old school Texas songwriters like Guy Clark.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Towns Van Zandt, Pancho and Lefty. How do you beat that song?
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're jogging my memory now.
Well, and not everybody thinks about those, but the guys in Texas do. They because they had such an impact on the music scene in Texas.
Yeah, they have impacted more than just individuals in their songwriting. It impacted music as a whole. And incredible.
Crazy world. But Anyway, well, cool. So, how many dates are you trying to get in under your belt every year?
Oh man, I would love to always do more,
Sure.
more and bigger and better, right?
Seeing some artists are going, yeah, I'd like to do less, but
Yeah, I think it's pretty modest. I'm in there between 50 and 60 a year.
okay.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So I could handle a few more.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
It's kind of feast or famine as well, you know. The summer gets so busy and you're just go, 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 and then all of a sudden, you know, November hits and it's kind of like, what do I do?
What happened now?
Yeah.
So do you still do some day work stuff at all, or are you just trying to do music 100%?
I do some day work, and I think most independent artists have to, you know. So I've got a job that is busiest in the winter time,
Okay.
out capturing elk
Okay.
out in the wild.
Okay.
So yeah.
You don't venture over into the Gravant, do you, with old Jay Hogan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know Jay from the rodeo days.
Yeah, Jay and I grew up, but we're the same age, so we rodeoed at the same time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been around
Yeah.
Jay his whole life, most of his life.
I used to ride his bareback horses.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jay's a good guy. So get out that way sometimes in a little bit. Another thing I've started doing is with all of the AI stuff, artificial intelligence.
Yep.
AI song just made the top country, whatever.
How crazy is that?
I know, it's just mind blowing. And to me, it seems that the value of real things is just going to increase because that's going to be so prevalent that, you know, live music is going to be something people are going to have and those interactions.
Yeah.
So I actually started creating some things with my fan base and sort of my music community to offer like VIP experiences and mentorships and songwriting.
Listen, I think you're on track with Django Walker. You need to go watch the episode we just released with Django at the Braun Brothers reunion.
Nice.
He's talking about the very same thing. You know, he says, "Look, you know, we you know, I hate to pick on any one streaming platform because they all host our podcast as well. So which they don't pay me anything. You're getting a little tiny bit. I'm getting nothing from them. But nonetheless." It's just killed the you know, you go back to the MTV. You remember the very first video that was launched on MTV?
It was
Video killed the radio star, right? Well, and we interviewed Dale Watson, and Dale said, you know what happened to honky tonk music in California? And I said, no, what? And he said they stomped it to death, right? Line dancing, which you know comes into play with the AI music. It's just beats, right? The DJs and stuff, and the mixes, and so you know that whole thing. And we love all types of music, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right, 100%. And so does Django. Django believes, look, at some point he's going to pull, you know, he talks about pulling all his music off Spotify and having his own streaming platform. Look, you pay me $9.95 a month, and if I get 500 followers, that's way better than what I'm getting paid by Spotify.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he told me, you know, he wrote the Texas University of Texas song, right? The Longhorn song, and he said in 13 years he's been paid. It was like $12,000 in 13 years, and it's got like 1.3 million streams. You know, so that really puts it in perspective for an artist. So there's not very many artists that, and he's been a very successful songwriter in his own right.
Yeah.
You know, his dad was a great songwriter, but he you know, he has cuts with Pat Green, he has cuts with Jimmy Buffett, he had cuts with Alabama, and you know, here's a guy going, hey, if I had 500 loyal customers pay me $10 a month.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I've kind of got started.
Yeah.
Just launched it actually a few weeks ago. And so there's been some pretty cool interest and people are responding.
Good.
This episode is brought to you by Tin Hall, Western style with an edge, bold design, fearless attitude, and boots that make a statement. Discounts available when you click our sponsor link at musicalmilespodcast.com.
Spawning well, so
I like to hear that because I think independently, as an independent artist without a label to back you up, unless you're Baker Blankenship and you get, you know, 30 million streams and you start headlining at 19 years old. I mean, he's an internet phenom, you know, and there's a handful of them, but there's not very many of them when you compare to the artists that are out there.
Right. And, I think there's, to be able to continue doing the thing and putting the stuff out there for the people, right? I mean, it's for everybody. There's a lot of overhead.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of expense to keep that trucking.
And you gotta keep that fan base happy, because if you're not generating new music, they're gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah, so it's just another way to provide more stuff, more value in it than just listen to a song, but
Well, I like it. I think
hang out together.
I think you're on the right track. And even he said, look, if those 500 members, or it gets up to 2,000, but we'll come do a home show at your place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those kind of deals. So
I remember my incentive to start playing music and recording and playing out is I needed $500. I just needed $500. If I could make $500, that would change the world.
Really?
And I started playing, and over that time, 6 albums. I've toured in Europe, played all over the country, met so many cool people. People that were my heroes are now my friends, and the connections have been so amazing, just unexpected things. And the ironic thing is I'm still waiting on that extra $500. So,
well, I don't think you're alone. I really honestly don't think you're alone. And once again, we as many artists as we've interviewed, there's lots of people rolling around in their Dodge Dually, it's wore out and still trying to get that, scratch that itch, right?
You bet.
And make that extra 500 or 10,000. You get that song that's going to take you viral, is what you hope for, right?
Sure,
we all hope for that. So, well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fun to get to know you, and I wish we had more time. They're going to kick us out of here because they're going to start serving in this restaurant. But before we get out of here, grab this. This is a Close guitar. It's KLOS, and 2 brothers in Provo, Utah, started this company. And there's your pick, or I don't know what.
Right, go with Camel. It's hunting season.
There you go, Camel, and they. Anyway, they started this company in 2012, I think, and they build solid body guitars. They build ukuleles. They build mandolins. I don't know what the bracing looks like. I haven't really explored it very much.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
There's any bracing in there.
It's amazing.
But this is a carbon fiber, and it is called their carbon timber, because it has that look of wood. The other one that I had originally I just had it for a week, was a woven carbon fiber. So
wow.
But I think it has and it's nickel infused.
Oh wow.
So
amazing. Very cool. Yeah. Well, I'm excited.
So set it up. Tell us what you're going to play.
Yeah. Just this guitar's pretty cool. I've got a song here that is actually a co-write.
Okay.
You know Vanessa Carpenter?
I do know Vanessa. She's been a guest on our podcast as well.
Okay.
One of our early guests, right?
Yeah. She approached me about a song that, an idea she had. And
cool.
It was kind of during the COVID times, and we were all Zooming, right?
Sure.
So, all of a sudden I was writing with people that live far away, and she lived over in Idaho. And anyways, she had an idea for a song, and it quickly evolved because it reminded me of somebody I knew. A guy I used to rodeo with and travel with. His name was Jason Olson, and he was a senior pro champion. He was sort of my mentor growing up when I was getting into bareback riding. He was already a high school and college champ.
Okay.
And then he eventually hung it up like we all did, but then he busted out and just started doing it again like crazy. And I was always inspired by him, and a guy that really got beat up a lot and always found a way to bounce back.
Okay.
And, so anyways, this song is called, I'll just let you hear what it's called when I play it. How about that?
Perfect.
All eyes are on him. He'll be putting on a show. They all know this living legend at the local rodeo. The rodeo queen is bad in her eyes. He just tips his head and smiles at her and lets her pass on by. He tries real hard to speak the truth, doesn't take to gossip or throwing stones, has no time for breaking hearts. He's too busy breaking bones. 'Twas about 7:30, another town a week ago. That 8-second buzzer rang, but he couldn't let go. His teeth were clenched as he was picking on his friends, saying, "Where were you on that one?" They popped his shoulder back in. He tries real hard to speak the truth, doesn't take to gossip or throwing stones, has no time for breaking hearts. He's too busy breaking bones. And the story continues. Here we go. Well, he didn't disappoint. He put on a show and maintained his legend status at the local rodeo. A starry-eyed nurse cleans his wounds with alcohol as they present his first place buckle at the local hospital. At the local hospital, he tries real hard to speak the truth, doesn't take to gossip or throwing stones, has no time for breaking hearts. He's too busy breaking bones. Busy breaking bones. Busy breaking bones.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think of that guitar?
Oh man, that sounds great.
Tip it forward and look at this neck. Do you see this? That unbolts. You can put that breaks down into a backpack.
Wow.
And you can put that in the overhead in an airplane.
Suitcase, yeah.
In a suitcase without breaking it.
Oh my gosh.
It's that was the whole concept. So this is their grand concert.
Man.
With a cutout. And so but anyway, I just picked it up yesterday. I just barely played it this morning. It was the first time I played it.
It's a beauty.
It is a beauty. It
sounds
really
great too.
So I'll let them know that we got it in the hands of the first guy, first artist.
What an honor.
So thank you so much. We appreciate you doing it. And gosh, we look forward to following your career. Now, are you going to be in Vegas?
I am going to be doing a little thing on a stage for the Battleborn headquarters there at Rio. Battleborn boots and whatnot.
That's where I think we're gonna be there doing our interviews is at the Rio this year. Last year we were at the Westgate where we did a bunch of interviews, but May Estes, who was just here, is gonna be playing at the Rio on Monday the 8th.
I was at a party in Nashville and May Estes was there a few years back before anybody knew who she was.
She's pretty cool.
She's got an incredible voice.
She's got a great voice. Her and Jenny Tolman were both here for the Cowgirls at the Cowboy, and what a cool event that was.
Yeah.
3 days of singer-songwriters
amazing.
here in Jackson. And so, but anyway, well, look us up.
Yeah.
When you get to Vegas, we're there hanging out.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll be there December 4th, I guess.
Buy you a beer or something.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, appreciate it. Hey, for music. Oh, where can we find your music? I always forget to ask.
Yeah, definitely. All the places, right? Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and wherever, iTunes. But JaredRogerson.com.
Okay.
You can go there and there's links to everything.
Okay,
all the socials as well at Jared Rogerson Music.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
2 more questions real quick.
Yeah.
Who would you love to work with, dead or alive? I think I know the answer to this.
Well, Chris Ledoux.
There you go.
For sure.
Anybody else?
I I'm kind of a fan of a lot of different people. I grew up with Steve Earle music. I'd love to work with George Strait. Man, just name them. Yeah,
There's some legends out there.
Gary Allen has been.
Gary Allen, what
Yeah.
a great one. Yeah. Nothing on but the radio. Bryce Long wrote that song.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've had him on twice.
Oh, wow.
Have you done any songwriter festivals?
I have not.
You need to reach out. You need to reach out to. I've got a couple of contacts for you.
Okay.
Because there's 3 of them in Montana: Red Lodge, Livingston, and Whitefish.
Sure.
And they bring in some Nashville artists, but they also bring in some rising stars. And so,
Nice.
I think you'd fit in there great. And I think
that'd be cool.
And if we do something in Idaho Falls, we'll be sure to give you a call.
Yeah. Right on. Hey.
Jared, thanks for your time. Hey,
Yeah,
for
thanks
Musical
for having
Miles
me.
Podcast, I'm your host, Byron Duffin, here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, at the famous Silver Dollar Bar with Mr. Jared Rogerson. We'll see you somewhere down the road. Adios.